All right, great. Let's get started. My name's Ivy Tang Lei. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Senior Director of Growth at Exigy. We've been working closely with Jordan Shapiro, who is joining this training with me right now to create this housing readiness report. What we have in store is going to be the presentation around the background and how the tool started, and then we'll go into how to actually navigate the tools, and you'll be able to see different places where data is presented in a way that allows all of the information and decision-making process to be a bit easier. So with that, I am going to pass it to Jordan.
Thanks so much, Ivy, and thanks everyone for taking time out of your day to join us. It's good to see a lot of new faces to housing, it looks like. People eager to learn and dig into this work. So before I jumped in to what this tool is, and then Ivy will take it over on how we're going to use it, just wanted to talk about the 3 trainings we're doing this week. If we can go to the next slide. So yesterday we did a training with government staff and elected officials, and that was geared a little more towards the data, policy, and public engagement pieces. Today, you're all here for the community organizers section. So this will touch more on how to advocate for equitable housing practices. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing one for community members and how people can easily get involved in their city's housing plans. If there's anyone you know who might be interested in this, we would love it if you could share this out. Anna is sharing the link to tomorrow's training. And it's very easy to register, and we'd love to have community members who are just thinking about this process attend tomorrow. Next slide, please. Here's today's agenda. First, I'll give you a little background on the Housing Readiness Tool, and then Ivy will take it over. I'm sorry, that's still me. How cities are assessed. Then Ivy will take it over for how to navigate the tool. Then I'll talk about future plans for the tool. And then finally, we'll have time for Q&A with all of you. We'll have plenty of time, so please drop your questions in the Q&A box. You can also drop them in the chat. We'll get them either way. Thank you. Next slide. So right now, we have a once-in-a-decade chance to address current housing needs, invest in our communities, and create better housing options for all. So every 8 years, cities develop policies and programs and find land to develop housing to meet their regional housing needs allocation, or RHNA goals. These local housing plans are called the housing elements, which by law must include community input. So we timed the release of the Housing Readiness Report during this planning process of the housing elements, and to involve community members and ensure their voices are heard in this process. And just as a reminder, in case you're not aware, the housing elements are due for completion by January 31st. So this means we only have a couple of months left to make, a little over a couple of months left to make an impact in our city's housing plans. So what is housing readiness? We define it as the potential future ability a city or county has to increase housing capacity, especially affordable housing for its most vulnerable population. So we wanted to develop a tool for affordable housing stakeholders, and whether that's organizers, advocates, city and county staff, elected officials, and community members, and provide the data and resources to track our cities and counties' ability to meet their affordable housing needs. Next slide, please. So we put together some goals as we were launching this tool several months ago, and we brought together a lot of stakeholders, who helped us develop the tool. So we performed extensive outreach in the design process for the tool, reaching out to all of our Partnership for the Bay's future government and community partners, as well as the fellows who are embedded in governments as part of that program. We also connected with a bunch of trusted thought leaders in housing, such as Nonprofit Housing, Enterprise, Spur, All Home, and PolicyLink. And these groups all played an essential role in the design and function of the tool and ensured that it was achieving our goal of advancing housing justice through an equitable lens. And these were the three goals for the tool as we discussed during the design process. The first is we wanted to make the tool easy to use and not too wonky. The intent behind this was to educate community members on the housing elements process and how their cities can work to improve their housing context. As we were thinking about scoring, we wanted to equip community members with the right tools to understand and participate in housing conversations. So this led us to utilize production and policies as a way to measure cities, as well as diversity and rent burden. And Ivy will get into those in a little bit. We hope that this will help community members as they learn about their housing elements and provide them with the language and understanding to navigate this complicated process. The next goal was to get community involved. We wanted to provide numerous ways for the community to take action in the housing elements process. And this led us to making the Get Involved section have as much weight as how we scored cities. So the tool is as much a discovery of how your city or county is working towards solving the affordability issue as it is about finding all sorts of ways to help make a difference in your community. And then the final goal, and maybe the most important one, is that we wanted to make the tool that frames advancing housing justice through an equitable lens. During these initial conversations, we all knew that the data on housing in the Bay Area shows that Black, Latinx, and Native American communities are hit the hardest by the housing crisis. They have the highest rates of rent burden and are in displacement. We felt the need to really call attention to this in a way that's easy for community members to understand, but also offer them the opportunity to get involved to help solve this. Next slide, please. So in the first phase of the Housing Readiness Report, which we're in currently, the resources are tailored towards the cities that participated in Partnership for the Bay's Future Policy Grants program. So this meant that the cities currently included in the tool are actively pursuing affordable housing solutions. As we're working on the next phase, we'll be expanding to include cities that aren't taking as much action to solve the housing crisis in their communities. So as the tool expands to include more resources, it will eventually cover all 109 cities and counties that represent the Bay Area. If there are cities that you want us to consider, please let us know in the follow-up survey, which will come at the end of this training session. So just wanted to talk a little bit about how cities are assessed on the tool. The first way we assess cities was local needs, which is split into two sections. The first section being the diversity of a city or county's population, and the second section would be the percentage of the population who are burdened by rent, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on rent. This helps us understand what policies and plans cities or counties have or will implement to keep their communities diverse and vibrant. The second piece was the affordable housing production. And this is the cities or counties' capacity to reach affordable housing unit goals set by the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA, especially in relation to meeting its existing population demographics. And then the third piece is housing policies. So the number of housing policies and the potential impact of each policy that a city or county has enacted to protect tenants and preserve and produce affordable housing. Policies are weighted on based on a potential impact. And Ivy will dig a little bit deeper into this when we get into the how-to section. So just a quick breakdown of the scores. The scores for production, permits issued, and policies are given equal weight, and each made up 35% of a city's score. And then diversity and rent burden each made up 15% of the score. And just to be clear, not all policies are weighted the same. So for instance, a one-to-one policy gets a high score, streamlined permitting policies get a mid-tier score, and homeowner rehab policies get the lowest rated score. And while this tool is especially useful right now ahead of the housing elements deadline, we wanted to underscore that the value and importance of this tool will extend way past the January deadline as we look to add for the housing elements, as we look to add methods to monitor cities' compliance with the housing elements once those are certified. It creates public engagement and collaboration opportunities for years to come. with effort of improving each of our city's equitable, affordable housing landscapes. And now I will, good question, Sonia. We'll save that for the end. I will now pass it to Ivy for a walkthrough of the website.
Thank you, Jordan. Okay, cool. So we are now going to share how to use the website. And so if you have a different tab or a separate screen on your monitor, it'd be awesome to pull up the website now, just so that you can follow where we will be showcasing different pieces of the website. Okay, so thank you, Anna. All right, once you get on the homepage, you should be able to see a Find Your City button. You click on that, and then you'll see what you have on our screen that's being shared. So this release of the Housing Readiness Report is a beta project. It's the first phase of the release, although we are working on the second phase. In this first phase, in order to release the tool in time to support the housing elements process, not all Bay Area jurisdictions were included. This current release evaluated 11 cities, including the Bay Area's largest cities, and all of whom were grantees of the BPF's Policy Grants Program, which helped expedite the data collection. This is a long-term project, and as we mentioned before, we're in the midst of expanding the list of cities and adding features in the next phase, and we're really hoping to get it out by the end of February or early March. You'll see that each city has been awarded a medal based on the summary of how their housing readiness is scored, and awarding cities a gold, silver, and bronze medal is based on the indicators and housing goals. All right, great. On the left-hand side, each city and county page is divided into 4 tabs, which you see at the bottom in green. The first 3 are indicators that we use to assess cities or counties' housing readiness. And then the last tab contains resources specific to that city or county, such as a draft of the current housing element. Many of the resources are available on the main Get Involved page at the top navigation bar. We encourage advocates to use the share button to extend the reach and visibility of your city and county's progress through social media. We know how important your role is, especially if you're a community organizer or work at a community-based organization, that you do a lot of the translating and conduit of the work that gets done from the government side and then all the way to communities that you serve. So any way that you can start using the tool and letting us know how well it's serving your needs, that'd be extremely helpful. And with that, expanding it to your network would be great as well. On the right-hand side, you'll see an overview of statistics for each city or county. It is an easy way to compare jurisdictions from a high level. Now, once you get on the page, as you scroll down, you'll notice that there are different components. On the next slide, we'll show you a piece around the local needs as a way to inform how current conditions compare across cities or counties. So for example, you'll see Palo Alto and East Palo Alto have the lowest diversity of all cities, but the local conditions are vastly different. East Palo Alto has a significant Latinx population, while Palo Alto has a predominantly white population. So what this cross-jurisdictional data shows, especially when we're looking at housing regionally, is that in all cases, local context is vital to understanding the housing situation. But there are also regional conditions that affect local markets. So cities like Palo Alto have a way to go and ensure they are more inclusive across race and income levels, while East Palo Alto, despite having a low diversity score, has been dealing with years of displacement pressure that may make it more diverse, but at the expense of existing Latinx population. So this provides a great baseline of what's going on currently in the Bay Area. And I want to acknowledge that the folks who've been putting together this tool and also the supporters of this tool know that community advocates are aware of these trends. Now, as you scroll down on the page, you'll also see rent burden. The city with the highest percentage of renters that pay more than 30% of their income on rent is Antioch, followed closely by East Palo Alto and Richmond. Antioch, despite having the most significant rent burden due to its location far from the Central Bay Area, has been receiving displaced residents who have been moved further away from jobs and resources to be able to afford housing. So this contributes to this trend of suburbanization of poverty. Now, on the next slide, you'll see that in the chart, there are three tabs at the top. The See Current tab, you'll notice housing production measures the number of permits issued at the city level and in comparison to other cities. Here we have an example from South San Francisco. On the left-hand side, you'll notice lower income, and the right side is showing more permitting of market rate housing. So this suggests that South San Francisco is building a lot more market rate housing, but not affordable housing units. By clicking on Compare to Others at the top, you'll be able to see cities or counties, cities permitting the least amount of affordable housing units overall. Okay, so for advocates focusing on both local and regional housing policies, the tool provides a comparison of how many local housing policies have been passed by cities. So this is a good indicator of their overall level of interest in tackling affordable housing issues. But that said, it does have room for improvement in the future. Although not all housing policies are the same and not all housing policies have the same impact across cities, we're starting with the number of overall policies as a proxy for policy interests at the city or county level. The next iteration of this site will aim to dive deeper into the impact of each policy and adding more policies and strategies to the list. We also want to call out something that came up in yesterday's training, and this is why your feedback is extremely important. And that may be a little bit less intuitive, for folks who are visiting the website for the first time, this tool for the first time. You'll notice that there are different symbols in the green, and then also in the chart on the right-hand side, right below the different components at the top. And there's symbol that is associated with different types of housing policies. So a shield with a check mark is for protect tenants policy. And then the hand with a heart is a preserve affordable housing policy. And then a house icon is for produce affordable housing policies. As you scroll down to the list of policies that a city or county has enacted, you can use these symbols to understand the focus area the policy is supporting. The policy listed on this page consists of most commonly agreed upon policies that have a proven track record of creating impact and have been enacted through multiple cities and counties in the Bay Area. It's not an exhaustive list of all policy, but it is a place that we're starting with phase one, and we'll aim to dive deeper in the follow-on phases. So green is protect tenants, hand with the heart is preserve affordable housing, and the house with the heart is produce affordable housing. Okay, the part that we're really super excited about is like, what do you all do with this information? And so at the top navigation, you'll see a get involved page, and it is our way of showcasing call to actions as one of the most important part of this tool. So not only now, when we are preparing for the tool, but also into the next years as decisions that are being made will affect the communities at large. And it's a quick way for folks to connect advocates with a centralized list of resources to get involved, and they're broken down by how much time you all have or the individual who are visiting the page. A quick way to get started, there are three tabs and options you'll notice. We don't have to play the video. Okay, so there's a quick guide on there's a quick start guide that explains the housing elements process. You can also sign up for emails on ongoing updates for this process. And then you can also share this housing information across social media platforms to further engage the communities that you're in. On the next slide is where you'll be able to see that if you have an hour, for example, you are able to draft a letter to local officials using templates and explore toolkits for effective messaging when communicating in these spaces. So whether that is an exercise that you want to host with your community members or as an exercise that you can share across other community spaces that you have. If you have more than a day to dedicate to this effort, you can attend a local meeting about housing elements. You can also sign up to volunteer with a local Bay Area organization, and you can explore additional data that provides context to affordable housing crisis in the Bay Area and dig into the housing planning process in your local community. So as a side note, we are continuing to grow on these pages. If you like your organization's resources to be linked to the Get Involved page, please reach out to Jordan or make a note in the post-event survey that we will be sending out so that we can include that. I think as we are planning a lot of these new design iterations on this website, one of the feedback that we've gotten is it would be really nice to know what other organizations are focusing on so that you can cross-pollinate and amplify each other's effort. And so we are so excited to have the opportunity to host that connection and just let us know what those resources look like and we can see if it will, fit into the technical backend on our website. But it is our top priority to be able to do that. It is also extremely important that we continue to involve all of you who are working on the grounds every single day and know the needs of our communities. So we're starting and we'll continue to share a couple of new resources that is designed to boost your capacity to be involved at the city's housing elements process. We'll be dropping links to both of these in the chat, so feel free to bookmark it. Again, we will be sharing the recording after this training, so you'll have it in your inbox. Okay. The first set of tools is a set of narrative tools developed by the Nonprofit Housing Association of Northern California and Shift the Bay. These tools are designed specifically for advocates like yourself to support the implementation efforts. The wealth of material includes a message guide, trainings, and organizing tools for effective reach across diverse communities and to encourage action-oriented engagement. All of the materials developed for this project were designed from a public opinion polling and focus group conducted by Shift the Bay that helps identify what was most important to the public to learn, for the public to learn, think, and feel so we can inspire all of us to take actions and engage in the housing elements process. The second part of the resource is for advocates to understand specific priority policies and action cities and that actions cities should pursue for their housing element plans that were developed by the Partnership for Bay's Future and Burden Driscoll's community planners. We've included a template for writing a letter to your city as well as a slide deck you can include with a letter that provides details of the policy. There's also a template for talking points if you plan on attending a local meeting. We know how intimidating those spaces can be sometimes, so if those can be talking points, that can be a point of inspiration and also just a starting point. Alrighty, I'll now pass it over to Jordan to talk about the timeline of housing elements process.
Thanks so much, Ivy. So I just wanted to remind everyone that we're still in the public comment period for the housing elements and that those are due January 31st. So we have these last 2.5 or so months to really get in our input into your city's plans. And then, as we mentioned, we're planning to expand this tool to evaluate more cities across the Bay Area and to add features. And that's already underway. We're just in the beginning stages of phase 2 of this tool. So please sign up on our email list on the Housing Readiness Report site, and we'll keep you posted on all new developments. We're about to open up the floor for Q&A, but before we do so, I wanted to note at the end of this call, Zoom will populate a quick survey for you to take. You'll be invited to provide additional feedback as we prepare for this next redesign and to consider long-term enforcement and implementation of the housing elements. Please do take a couple of minutes to share your thoughts with us. Additionally, we will, my contact information will be available at the end of this as well. If you want to reach out to me with any input, and also as we are beginning thinking about what the design of phase 2 will be, we are looking for partners. If you have opinions you want to share, we'd love to bring you in on that process, the beginning process of thinking about what the future of this tool will look like, particularly as we are thinking about like housing elements after they're certified. So all the cities have to have these in by January 31st, and then there will be a few month period while the housing elements are certified. And we're thinking about, what compliance after they're certified, what compliance of the housing elements looks like and how enforcement is, and what our role in the housing readiness report and what this tool can serve to help enforcement and help cities keep on track. And so now I think we're ready for Q&A, right, Ivy?
Yes, we are. All right, y'all. Don't be shy. We've got the more questions you ask, the better we know where our areas of improvements can be.
There have been a few in
Okay,
the chat. Just want to,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna start with what's in the chat, Sonia. I'm gonna start with yours. What is a one-to-one policy, Jordan?
Great. I'm going to just quickly share my screen because I'm no policy expert. So I'm going to actually just walk you through how you can see what all of these policies that are listed on the site are. Great. Okay. So if we go to a city's page, I'll just walk you through from the beginning. You click on Find Your City, and we'll click on Berkeley, and then you go to the housing policy section. You'll see the list of all these policies, and this is actually where I'm going to lead you as a feature we're looking into adding to the site. At the bottom of all the list of policies is the source where we got this information, which happens to be the Association of Bay Area Governments, also known as ABAG. And that will take you to the same list that we were looking at. And so if you click on any of these, it will give you more information. So here's the one-on-one replacement. And it provides you a full summary of that policy, and it does this for who implements it. On a map, shows you which cities are implementing it, key issues of the policy, and then other resources you can visit. And it's a wealth of material. I will state that this information is a little stale, and we're looking at ways to update it in this next phase. So I believe it's a few years old. But these are policies that are enacted in cities, but we've heard from cities who are current members of this tool that they had policies that have been further enacted since ABAG released that list.
Thank you, Jordan. All right, the next question we have is, do we know if there are those rent burdened in Antioch, are new families that moved there, or those that have been there for many years?
That's an excellent question. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, I guess, first.
Mhm.
And I don't know off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that question. We do know that people, as people are being displaced, they are moving further and further, and the outskirts of the Bay Area, and Antioch is one of those cities. So I don't know I can look into that and get back to you. I don't know if it's a correlation or if it's a causation, and so
Mm,
we don't know if people were already were being a rent burden already, or if it's the new tenants moving into Antioch who are rent burdened.
yeah. It definitely feels like one of those questions that will require one, the trust of communities to be able to open their door and like be able to provide us that data, and then at the same time, like such crucial investments. So thank you so much for raising that question. Great. What is the time frame for these permits? Is it the last year or 10 years?
Yeah, so the time frame, those are updated by ABAG again, or did we get that from HCD? Let me double check. It says ABAG, but I believe it's HCD. Yeah, the Housing and Community Development. So these are updated yearly by HCD. So if you, again, I'll share my screen. This current time frame, and this is again something we're looking to update that has more information on it. It should say the years, but if you click see trend over time, it shows you what we're currently looking at, which is 2015 to 21. So we're currently in the fifth cycle of the housing elements and or RENA goals, I should say. And next year starts the sixth cycle. So 2023 is the next 8-year cycle of the RENA goals.
Hmm. And Sonia also replied that yes, the one-to-one policy is a state law, 66300D. Some cities like Mountain View have passed local implementation of that law, but no matter what, all cities have to follow it. And also followed up with these are APRs. Do you
Uh,
know?
yes, good call out, Sonia. Not and several of these policies have now become state laws. So all cities will have to implement them. So yeah, you'll see across a lot of these cities that there are some policies that are enacted everywhere. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And again, as we're looking to the next phase, we're actually trying to decide, is this a good way to measure city policies that have been enacted? And we're hearing from cities, it's not great because the data is not up to date. It's a few years old, and we don't currently have a way to measure the policies. So we're looking at the housing elements as maybe a better way to measure cities, like their compliance with their housing elements. So once they get certified, we'll be working with HCD and with ABAG to really measure how much in compliance cities are and how much we need to start leaning on them.
Yeah. All right. Is there a way to scale these numbers by the size of the current housing stock?
I'm not sure. Is there a way to scale these numbers by the size? Sorry, I had a minute where I needed to understand what that question meant. Uh, yeah, I don't. Um, I, we can look at that in a larger scale and see how it compares to the current stock. I don't know how helpful that would be because the RENA goals are what the state sets and then ABAG sets it as a more regional or for the cities themselves. So we're really just looking at what the goals are and how close those cities are to reaching it. So it would be, I think it could be useful just to know those sort of numbers on a scale of what's already in existence. But I don't know. Again, it's something we can look into. I don't know if it's currently in our plans for the next phase.
Sonia, I feel like we can probably do a one-on-one with your all
Yes.
of your questions, and we love them. All right, Jerry, your turn. Acquisition, rehab, or conversion quote is showing that it only benefits preserving affordable housing. But I would add that the acquisition of SFRs can be rehabbed for the purpose of affordable home ownership. Is there more information on this that would explain this?
Another great question. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a policy expert. So, and also I want to add that not all of these policies are the same. I think it's important to, as we're looking at, how we measured cities and how we measured policies, that we sort of simplified how we measure them. And just compared the number of policies and the type of policies, and weighted those types of policies. But of course, not all policies are the same. So an acquisition rehab in Berkeley, for instance, might be a much better policy than it is somewhere else. And so again, as we're looking at how we're measuring cities in the next phase of this tool, we are saying, is this an important way to measure cities, or do we need to find a better way to do it? Because we don't currently have data that's going to tell us how these policies are enacted in every single city, or the resources to really dig that deep into it, especially as we expand to more cities.
Yeah.
So yes, this could be a policy that reaches both, more than just preservation. And but again, we needed to simplify the way that we could measure these. And in most cities, it is a preservation policy.
Yeah, we do have, as we're building this tool, we're like gathering experts like from different areas as best as we can. And every opportunity we get, we like realize that there's additional pieces that could use like just zooming in and unpacking that they all deserve. Um, So while, Jordan and I may not be like, you know, our title is not housing policy experts, we are constantly working with other areas and other folks who've spent their entire career in that space, and that's a great question for us to bring back to them and understand how we might be able to like dictate that a little bit better on the site.
Yeah,
So
and
thank you, Jared.
yeah, just to piggyback on that. So a couple of organizations we're working with in the next phase of this tool is ABAG is one of them. They're definitely a thought leader on this project as we reach into the phase 2, and then probably even more on phase 3. And we're also working with HCD. So we're really, we have a lot of people who are way more experts than Ivy and I on the policy side of this, and really digging into that sort of information.
hmm And these sections will also be synthesized for us to bring that feedback to the next iteration of the tool. So all great questions. And we hope to be able to provide a better and more clear answer as well as we continue to iterate on this tool. All right. Where and how are you sourcing hearings and opportunities to engage? It's a lot of work. Yes. And that's why we are like, sharing that it is beta, it is a work in progress, it is a tool that it has so much room to improve just as housing policies at large. But yeah, Jordan, how are we sourcing them?
Vubag? Yeah.
Yeah, one of our housing
Vubag is our
advisors.
resident policy expert at Exigy. And I mean, he's just been reaching out to the cities directly to get these resources. This is essentially how he has great relationships with pretty much every city in the Bay Area. And so he's been reaching out to them. And additionally, the city's websites have this information available on their site. So it's just been a matter of digging.
Yeah. Also, as folks are, especially if you want to share your resources and website, and if your organization like actually hosts that information, that's even better. It really does take a village. Alrighty. Did I miss any other questions? Anna, Ethan, or Jordan, did you notice it? If not, I'd like to put together, oh, another one came in. We want to surface your contact information, Jordan, so folks can reach out to you separately?
Yeah, please do.
Awesome. This is Jordan's contact information. We know this work starts and needs to continue to go for as long as our communities need everyone on this call support to uplift their voices. So feel free to reach out to Jordan. And we will also be hosting another training tomorrow. It will still be Jordan and I, and we are focusing on really reaching out to community members, which have historically been just less vocal because of the inaccessibility of information and stuff, but not because they don't have a voice, but because we are responsible for uplifting their voices in these spaces. Um, so if you know people who may benefit from this training, please forward it to them. And especially if they're community members. If they're not community members, that's great too. We know that everyone's schedule may be different. So we're happy to flex in whatever way possible to allow this tool to thrive in the way that we want our communities to thrive during this process. Jordan, did I miss anything else?
I think you covered it all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll be sending this recording to everyone via email. Please follow up on our newsletter and the website. Jordan's email is here, and we hope that this is the beginning of many conversations to come as we continue to work together in this space. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.